Daniel, welcome to Halloween Daily. Thank you so much for hanging out and talking to us today.
It's all good, thank you. It's a pleasure being here. Nice talking to you. How's
Well,
it going? You having a good day?
I'm doing pretty well today. Not too bad, I have to say. I'm still thinking about your movie. I watched it last night, Starved Acre, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm still kind of processing it all this morning as we're talking. Can you tell us a little bit about how this project originated for you? You're both writer and director, and I know it's based on a book. What was it about this story that really spoke to you loudest, and how did this all get started?
I was a big fan of Andrew Hurley's work already. I'd read his first two novels, The Lonely and Devil's Day. I sort of got, I was a big fan of his style, his like gothic, sort of strange storytelling. And then I heard about this, his new book through a producer, and I got hold of a promo copy of it and was quite taken with it. It was doing a lot of things that were exciting me about, I was looking for what my next film was, and I wanted to sort of continue dealing with similar themes from my first film, but in a different way. And that did this for me. It was a story about grief, but a sort of departure from the realism of my first film. And again, I just love the kind of unexpected nature of the story. That was something I was really excited about putting on screen. It was a rare a rare opportunity to do something strange and uncanny and something that's like slightly like unidentifiable, but like seeps into you, this kind of feeling, and it's kind of pleasurable despite what's happening. Yeah, I just loved all that about the story, and also it's very much looks at the nature of the brown hair, like the English hair, and everything that represents throughout like history. Like how it's always connected to like springtime. It's connected to like notions of love, or resurrection or rebirth, and then also how the hair has come to represent things to do with like witchcraft and shape shifting, and all this stuff was in the novel. And it just felt like it was a portrait of that. Here's a story that's all about the nature of the hair in storytelling itself. So yeah, got really excited by all that, and then also the challenges of putting that onto the screen. Like how do you like show this animal and what's happening to it, and what do you do when it's in the house and moving around, and all that was exciting.
Well, and I loved all of that. And the hair, I wanted to talk about that. I mean, this might be the creepiest rabbit I've ever seen on screen. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Putting that on screen because it does play a pretty significant role in the film. And like you said, the film I do love the turns because it starts a certain way and you feel this uneasiness right from the beginning. I did, but you don't know exactly where it's going to go, and then you think you do, and then it really starts going in different directions.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the story, and
Yeah,
what I tried to do in the film as well. That you think it's about you think it's this one kind of style of filmmaking,
yeah,
and then there's a left turn, with Mrs. Ford and Gordon, and it
yeah.
becomes into something that feels more like a ghost story, and then we bring in sort of animatronics and other things, and it sort of then becomes something else. There's some people might go like, "What the heck am I watching? What is this?" But then other people hopefully will really get into it, and it's the kind of thing I love in stories where they just surprise you like that, in terms of like the style and where it's going. You don't think it's going to end up in this place. Uh, as soon as I finished reading the book, that was the first question. It's like, how do we put this on screen? And I instantly thought of Alice, the Zvankmajer film Alice, his version of Alice in Wonderland. It was an old like stop motion um, 70s film. So it was like I wanted to kind of do it like that, but then it was just too hard, close to impossible doing it in stop motion. So then the next best thing really was animatronics and puppeteering, and a big fan of Jim Henson's Dark Crystal and you know Labyrinth and films like that. So it's like I started getting excited by that and talking to the puppeteers and the model makers, and um, great. It just felt like old school filmmaking. very like apt for the kind of story, this kind of 70s gothic story.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it was so cool. And the brief was, look, just keep it as natural looking as possible, not to over exaggerate or try and make it too creepy. And as soon as we started trying to do that, it went a bit like cartoony, didn't
Yeah.
really work. And I was like, just try and make it look as natural as possible, because the hair in itself is just this ominous, like lanky, gaunt creature that's like quite, it's just like mesmeric really to look at. So I'm glad it's coming across and you find it sort of kind of creepy and strange. And that's the idea.
And also the 70s feel you mentioned, it's set in the 70s, and it does kind of feel like it was could have been made in the 70s. I mean, a lot of the look of it, I felt a lot of your just camera choices and how it was shot. So it sounds like that was a very conscious thing that you were going for, to not just tell the story here, but to really have it feel as if it could have been made in that time period almost.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the idea. Again, we
Yeah.
were trying to do that, make it feel um like a 70s film. I grew up watching 70s films, you know. I'm an 80s kid, but that, you know, watching loads of 70s horrors and new Hollywood stuff as well. And I've always loved that. I've loved like the easygoing nature of it, you know,
Yeah.
the hairstyles, the costumes, the production, the sort of earthy quality of it all was what I was trying to get across. In the camera as well, we found like old 70s lenses, anamorphic lenses that
Yeah.
added a bit of distortion, and then I printed it onto a very like a very grimy film stock as well. It was so dirty and grimy that in the end I had to paint a lot of the grime out, because it was actually getting in the way of the image. But in the end, I think it looks good. It looks like a 70s film because of that.
Oh, totally. And I was thinking that watching it, I was like, yeah, I think he shot this on some time appropriate lenses and everything. Now with this folklore, and you mentioned the place of the brown hair. I mean, how much of this folklore and how much research? I mean, I guess it was all in the book originally. Is any of it real existing folklore as far as like the dandelion jack and the womb of the earth and all that stuff, or did that all just come from the book, or how much is from existing folklore?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Matt. I
Okay.
think Andrew did his own kind of research, I think.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, you know, the concept of like Jack as a wood sprite or like a phantom of the land is just something that's just gone on it throughout history in England. There's so many like tales of like a spirit that's called Jack. I don't even know why. It just ends up being that way. They're kind of like a green man type figure, you know, and every village or town had one as well. So it was a play on that, I think.
Hmm.
And the concept of the oak tree being a kind of doorway into a spirit world, that comes from like old Celtic mythology as well. How, you know, the word oak it actually means door, doesn't it? It means a door into a different space. So it was playing on those old pagan ideas, Celtic ideas.
I love stuff like that. I just love the whole folk horror subgenre itself. It's always so cool, and I think you've added a great addition to that subgenre. And I've got to mention your cast, of course. I mean, you've got some notable names in here, and they just kill it, and as we would expect they would. But I'm curious, well, how did you land them? And but also, did you have to do much convincing to get them to do kind of a more smaller, more intimate thing, and a genre film like this?
Um, I feel like I got quite lucky with them both. They were both coming off the back of big shows, so they were both available. And because they worked on such big shows that they wanted to get back on location and do something, you know, get their hands dirty and shoot a film like how they used to be shot. It's not just all on green screen, and I think that helped me. But you know, having said that, they both love the script. Morvid, she's a big fan of folklore and horror films. Um, and you know, I was kind of worried she would say no because she'd just done Saint Maud, and I was
Yeah.
like, does she really want to come back and do another sort of horror film, but she loves it. So I was very pleased when she said yeah, because I knew she'd be perfect for it, because she has a kind of classic 70s kind of look as well. So and she was so easy to work with. And similar thing with Matt. I had a couple of chats with Matt, and he was you know, he liked the book, but he was also very intrigued by how I'd adapted it, and was again just was like excited about getting his hands dirty and playing this like complex character, like real character, you know, something that wasn't fantasy. And right, he was so excited by it all right from the beginning. He was working on his accent from day one, trying to do this kind of Yorkshire 70s Yorkshire accent, and he was sending me voicemails all the time in the accent, and we're just building his character up from there. And don't know, yeah, just got lucky. It was like the perfect timing, just the right time. They both wanted to do it. I don't know if it'd happen again. Who knows?
Well, it was definitely meant to be because, like I said, they definitely kill it, and so much rides, you know, in a film like this on those performances, and they totally deliver. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the film. I know horror fans are going to respond really well to it when they get to see it. For our last couple minutes, if you'll indulge us before we let you go, every day is Halloween for us, and so I'm
Cool.
curious. With you, do you celebrate Halloween? Do you look forward to it like we do? What's Halloween mean to you in your life?
I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. People aren't, I don't know, it's a bit of a mix in the UK. Some people love it and other people aren't that bothered. I grew up quite religious, you know. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, so I wasn't really like, I wasn't celebrating much sort of secretly on the side. But then as soon as I got away from it all, Halloween was my biggest holiday. Yeah, I would go I spend far too much effort and time thinking about what kind of Halloween party to throw. Big into it. So it's Halloween's every day there. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yes,
Are
yes,
those real
yeah.
Have you got real pumpkins there? They can't be. They're-
No, no, this is a mask, and that one's a trick or treat pail over there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have we'll put some real ones up here in a few weeks once we can get our hands on some for sure.
Nice.
Well, so that's good to hear that yeah, maybe you didn't get to celebrate as much as growing up, like you said, but now that you can and you've embraced it wholeheartedly. I love hearing that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
and
love it.
we always try to ask, now that you are celebrating Halloween, what's your favorite Halloween costume that you've worn, and also your favorite Halloween candy or treat?
Whatever scares the kids the most. I got seven nibblings, and the brief is just to find someone that's going to scare them,
Yeah.
and usually some really grotesque mask, like a zombie kind of mask with a huge nose and just like loads of hair, and that tends to work the best for the kids. Treats wise, I don't know. Again, it's like I try to make the kids eat healthy stuff. So I'll make like a pea soup, but then call it slime, you know, stuff like that. Or I'll do like a beetroot salad and then call it like you know, like vampire's blood or something like that. And try and get the kids to eat healthy. Never works though. Never works.
That's a good idea, though. That's a good way to kind of stealthily get the healthy stuff in there. You know,
Yeah.
they get to play with their food. It becomes a prop for the costume. But you say that they're still not buying it. Some of them.
No, some kids, some of them, it works for some. Like I'll put it in a big cauldron as well. I got a cauldron. I'll put the pea soup in there, and I'll have it boiling, you know, and be like, look at this green slime, and one or two of the kids eat it, but most of them know better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love hearing that. Well, very cool, man. This has been great. I know you're super busy today, but again, Starve Acre, I definitely recommend it. I had a blast with it, and it will stay with you. It definitely, like you said, it gets under your skin, and just I'm still thinking about it. It's you know, I watched it last night, and I'm sure I'll be thinking about it for a few more days. So I might be hitting you up on Instagram with more questions. I'm like, hey, you know what? I just thought of something else. But
Yeah, please do.
this has been awesome talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time. And instead of saying goodbye, because every day is Halloween with us, we just
Yeah,
always end up by saying Happy Halloween.
Hillary. Hey, look, Matt, it's been a total pleasure. Enjoyed talking to you. Thank you, and happy Halloween. Yeah.